All right, we'll bring you that recap of day 3 at the Democratic National Convention. But folks, look, Tim Walz, he's a folksy guy. He is, born in Nebraska. Of course, he's the governor of Minnesota. He talks about the Runza and all these cultural things there. A very, very likable guy. It was another packed day. I mean, you had Nancy Pelosi, who some say is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries, if the Democrats take over the House this November, he will be the Speaker of the House. Pelosi said they could take 5 or 6 seats based on where polls are going. Bill Clinton, of course, who has done, I think, 15 conventions now, or so on and so forth. How did you guys see what the culmination of day 3?
Do you know my favorite speech out of all these powerhouses mentioned? Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, yes.
Oprah Winfrey's speech got a lot of people emotional and crying, and a number of things I just want to point out there. First of all, okay, Tim Walz, let me give him his flowers because he accepted, so let me not take the shine off him. He was the closing act, and what he said, and a statement that was iconic: never underestimate a high school teacher. And they're talking about him getting, but we're going to go back now, but very quickly. Oprah, celebrity endorsement is a class act on celebrity endorsement. It's not just coming out to say that I'm somebody's baby or voter is my father's, I'm from the same place. She gave facts, figures, the reasons. She's an independent, by the way, not even a Democrat, but it was really, really great to see. So we'll talk about that.
All right, so I think now we're going to go back to that package, of course, of what happened on day 3.
Tim Walz is a man that many Americans weren't familiar with just a few short weeks ago. A former teacher, football coach, and the current governor of Minnesota. He's described as the type of person that politicians dream of being able to portray themselves as.
It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States. We're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country. So thank you to all of you here in Chicago and all of you watching at home tonight. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your determination. And most of all, thank you for bringing the joy to this fight.
Former President Bill Clinton used his time at the convention to take potshots at Donald Trump, mocking his frequent references to the late, great Hannibal Lecter. But he also said the choice facing the American people was an easy one.
Kamala Harris is the only candidate in this race who has the vision, the experience, the temperament, the will, and yes, the sheer joy to get something done. So in 2024, we got a pretty clear choice, it seems to me. Kamala Harris for the people, and the other guy who's proved even more than the first go-around that he's about me, myself, and I.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's speech was one of the most highly anticipated of the night. She's seen as the architect of Biden's decision to stand aside for Harris.
I've known Kamala Harris for decades. Personally, I know her a person of deep faith, which is reflected in her community care and service. Officially, she is a leader of strength and wisdom and eloquence on policy, most recently demonstrated fighting for women's right to choose. Politically, she is astute and strategic in winning difficult elections, quickly securing the nomination with dignity and grace, and choosing Tim Walz as our vice president.
Day 3 at DNC was high energy. There were appearances from Oprah Winfrey and performances from singer John Legend and the poet Amanda Gorman. The legendary musician Stevie Wonder also took to the stage in the United Center.
We must keep on keeping on. until we truly are a united people of these United States. And then we will reach our higher ground.
Now that Tim Walz has accepted the nomination for Vice President, it's all eyes on Thursday night when Kamala Harris will take to the stage and lay out her vision for the future as the first female president of America. Faith Orr, Arise News, Chicago.
All right, great work there from Faith Orr. As always, I traveled with Faith Orr when we went to Davos a couple years ago. She's awesome. So guys, as you were saying, you were breaking down the facts and figures from Oprah Winfrey.
From Oprah, and one of the most emotive parts of her speech, which got me, Tiara, as well, alongside a lot of people in the audience, was when she spoke about that young girl, Tess Williams, who at the time, I think was 1964, if I'm
Civil rights era.
Yeah, civil rights. Who was the first black girl to go to school, and how they just giving the history of racism in America and how far they've come, and that America doesn't have room for racism and things like that. They've evolved, they're not going back. I thought it was so powerful for her to just demonstrate the power of having great leadership. And that was, part of the theme of her speech. It was emotive, it hit the right notes. She spoke about the fact that even though she wasn't a Democrat, she was voting based on the candidature of the two people, and there was no room for a leader like Donald Trump, in America. So I thought it was very emotive. The others spoke really well. It was great to see Bill Clinton. He's looking frail, and you just said that life happens to everybody. And just a few other people. Stevie Wonder's performance was also fantastic as well. But it was a fantastic day 3.
I mean, it was Tim Walz night. Small-time guy, Coach Walz. Put it out there, highlights of the night, his son looking and saying, that's my father, the emotions in the room, then, a couple of other speeches. I think the highlight too was speeches by the lieutenant governor that was a Republican. And the fact that a lot of people across the aisle are now coming to say that this is not a fight between partisanship or political party. It's a fight for the soul of America. And you see, for all of those that don't want to hear the truth when we say it, we'll be objective here. And that's a sad reality of what Trump represents. Narcissism, bigotry, it's a one-man show, it's not in the interest of everybody. See, you can call me anything you want. Are there many things I disagree with the Democrats? Yes, I do. There are many things I disagree with them as regards. But you cannot say you will jeopardize that for the integrity of a country where a leader is unstable and somebody like Trump fits the bill. For Oprah, what other person tells the best story of America? A potato haystack cloth made for Oprah as a child. She rose up to be a billionaire.
She did well.
That's just it.
Great stuff. Adesuwa joins us live from Chicago for a recap of day 3. Our Rise correspondent on the ground, of course, along with Adesuwa, Giwa-Osagie. Adesuwa, good morning to you. We see the background, the large, space where everyone was packed. Tell us about how day 3 went down, because you absorbed everything that went down yesterday.
Yes, I did. Good morning, Rafai. Good morning, Aya. Good morning, Lotus. It is 2 a.m. in Chicago. It is freezing cold, and it is very quiet, which is not what it was like yesterday. Yesterday was much more mellow than the day before. We had Bill Clinton, as you said, as Aya said, looking a bit frail, but he also spoke from the heart. It's been reported that he was not reading from his teleprompter for most of the speech because he decided to cancel his speech after he after the first day of the DNC, and just right from the heart, and he spoke from the heart. But we also saw Nancy Pelosi come out. She's not much of an orator, but she is a very powerful woman, and I really enjoy what you guys have been saying, that we've been talking about the soul of the nation. The messaging here has been one of unity, particularly with Oprah talking about we're more alike than we are disalike in this country. We have more alike with our neighbors than we'd like to believe. To call back to what Obama said, even when he spoke at the 2004 DNC, where he said there's no blue America and red America, we're just one America. And so I think yesterday was consolidating this idea of presenting Kamala Harris as a candidate of hope, and a candidate of hope for unity, a candidate that will allow everyone go home for Thanksgiving and not have to fight over politics. So I would say yesterday was a day for consolidating this idea of Kamala, the candidate. Polls have been saying that a lot of Americans do not know where she stands on issues, or they do not know her very well. So we had even her niece and nephews came out yesterday to speak about her. We had Nancy Pelosi speak about Kamala from a personal level, citing her faith. And Nancy Pelosi, as we all know, is a very religious woman who is still pro-choice. And that's another thing that has taken center stage at the DNC, pro-choice issues, abortion laws. And I think it's going to play a huge deciding factor in the general elections.
All right, real quickly, what are we're looking up to another night, which is now going to be Kamalas Night. Yesterday was Tim Walz Night. What's going to be the lineup like for the next night?
Well, the headline today is Kamala. We have a lieutenant. We have some other Republicans who are non-Trump Republicans are going to take the stage today at the DNC. I think today is going to be more a call to action more than anything else. It's been a lot of vibes. It's been a lot of energy. Yesterday showed more a call to action for Americans across the country. I think the Obamas really set that pace. They really started that messaging of it's time to clamp down. It's a very short window that they have to elect Kamala. Most presidential nominees would have had a much longer period of time to present their case to the American people. However, now, as Vice President Kamala Harris has a very short window in which she has to sell herself to the American people, particularly the undecided voters. And so today, I imagine that it's going to be mostly an appeal to them. It's going to be mostly a call for fighting. As she said, when we fight, we win. And I believe that they're going to be calling on Americans and those who believe in Kamala, those who believe in this unity and this idea that they are selling here at the DNC. They're going to be calling on them to start fighting, start knocking on doors, start raising money, going to the polls. So I imagine that that's what we're expecting today. But Kamala Harris, that's our main story for today. There have been some rumors that Beyonce might be showing up, but I have not seen any signs of that. So we'll see.
It's interesting you mentioned Beyonce, that even though her song is being used almost as the anthem for this, freedom for this campaign, she hasn't yet verbalized her endorsement for Kamala Harris. So that would be, maybe they're hiding her for the final unveil or reveal. But beyond that, I'd like you to talk about Joe Biden a little, because this convention has also been a lot of tribute to the man and the legacy of Joe Biden. What has been the mood, especially for him? Because yesterday he was praised, I think was by Tim Walz for being honorable enough to step aside and step down in interest of the country. What's been, have you seen his family members, had an opportunity to speak to people? Are people being more persuaded that he did right, by Joe Biden and now facing Kamala Harris?
So I believe a lot of people, with hindsight is 2020. Nancy Pelosi came up and she dedicated the first part of her speech to praising President Joe Biden, to talking about the accomplishments that he has been able to accomplish within his administration, and particularly with infrastructure. President Joe Biden has done a lot more than people expected. Now, I think the mood here is a lot of times, anytime people are speaking, there would be a break where people are shouting, "Thank you, Joe." The chant will go around the room because people are grateful for Joe Biden. This is a man that has given so much of himself to the American people. And I'd like to highlight something that's incredibly important, because as Barack Obama's vice president and as president to Vice President Kamala Harris, he's serving as a very important bridge. And both Barack Obama and Kamala Harris are two of only 11 black senators that have ever served in the American Senate. This is since the 1700s, right? There's only been 11 black senators. Two, we know, are Barack and Kamala Harris. Three of those black senators come from Obama's district here in Illinois. And it just shows that race in America is still a huge deal. It's something that's not often spoken about. And President Joe Biden has shown character. He has shown class, especially in the face of Trump and the energy that we were getting from the other side, or from the Republican side, my apologies. And so we have seen here that people are grateful to Joe Biden, not just because of what he has accomplished, but also because of what he represents. He represents even an older generation that is still willing to work with people who have views that differ from their own.
Adesuwa, look, there's been a whole lot of energy that's been discussed at the convention so far. I remember asking who your favorite speech was so far. I think you said it was Hillary Clinton. We saw what the Obamas did yesterday. What is your standout? I mean, today's the last day, right? What's been your standout so far? Is it still Hillary, or did the Obamas, take the shine yesterday? How have you assessed things?
Oh, Michelle Obama. I might name my first child Michelle Obama. No, Michelle Obama blew everyone out of the park by a mile. I honestly think, something that she did is also that she spoke with dignity and grace, but also with strength and conviction. Michelle Obama is someone who, particularly as First Lady, had to be quiet, or more quiet than she's probably used to. And this is a woman who was a professor at the university here in Chicago. She was a very accomplished lawyer. She's a brilliant woman. And so she has been holding back for a while. And I was honestly looking forward to it. I said I knew that this Michelle was coming when she started wearing her boots and more colorful outfits after she stopped being the First Lady. But what she said was amazing, and what she did was amazing on this stage. She said the affirmative action of generational wealth, and I know that's going to be a banger for years to come. I know that's going to resonate across classrooms all across this country, because she spoke to how people feel. She spoke to passion, she spoke to growing, she spoke to working, and she spoke to something that a lot of people have shied away from, which is the left. She said we do not have perfect candidates, but what we do is we work together, we work for the best of everyone. We pull everyone up, and she's somebody who grew up on the south side of Chicago and made it all the way to the White House. I honestly, Michelle Obama's speech she took us to church and back. There's no comparison.
All right, thank you so much, Adesuwa, for the report. Looking forward to the final day of the convention, and definitely looking forward to that acceptance speech by Kamala Harris.